Your brand new iPhone 17 Pro might already be scratched. We dug into the camera plateau finish and found out why people are calling it Scratchgate. But before we get into that, let's take a look at what anodization actually is. Anodizing is an electrolytic process that grows a protective oxide layer on a metal surface. Basically, the metal surface is corroded carefully and the layer of corrosion protects the underlying metal. The oxide layer is usually grown by submerging the part in an electrolyte bath and passing a current through it. The anodized layer is more brittle than the aluminium that it sits on. On flat, even surfaces, that oxide layer deforms together with the aluminium when a scratch occurs. That's why you don't see bare metal underneath. So is the problem that the phone's made of aluminium and not titanium? David Nybert tells us that titanium oxide is a little harder than aluminium oxide, but the difference wouldn't account for the spalling we're seeing. The issue is the shape of the phone, specifically the sharp edge of this camera bump, which the anodizing doesn't adhere to as evenly as across the rest of the phone. We're really able to see what's going on with the scratch test under Evidence Scientific's DSX-2000 microscope. I'll be using a Mohs Level 4 hardness tester, and that's roughly the equivalent of a copper penny. Notice the scratch on the flat orange surface where the anodization has properly formed in an even and thick layer. We still get a visible scratch, which isn't great considering the hardness of keys and pennies in a pocket, but it's not terrible. The scratch doesn't peel away the orange color. Now let's contrast that with the scratch on the plateau where the anodization is mostly supported by another layer of anodization instead of the underlying aluminium. And that's pretty terrible. But when there's an edge to the oxide layer, like at the edge of the camera plateau, the brittle oxide bears the stress of your keys or coins rubbing against it, and so it spalls. You can't just fix it by making the anodized layer thicker, that might even make it worse. And despite reports of scratching on the iPhone Air and base model iPhone, we haven't really seen the same level of failure. For one, those phones both have a glass back panel, which on a level 4 scratch test is harder than the Mohs pick we're using. There's no damage at all. So Scratchgate is real. Unless you put a case on your phone, that camera plateau is probably going to see some damage at some point during the phone's lifetime. The problem does seem to be restricted to the Pro and the Pro Max models for the time being. So make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel for more gadget guts and the latest repair news.